Kenny, you've had a week to decompress and reflect on the end of the 2024-25 women's basketball season. As you look back, what makes you most proud? What's the accomplishment that you hang your hat on for this past year?
I mean, I think the growth probably from when we started, games back in November, but even sooner than that when you go to, late September when this group finally, at first came together, just seeing all the strides that they made. A good amount of that being on the floor, even more of that being off the floor, and I think that's one of the most encouraging pieces that we're taking from this year is going forward, returning, hopefully, a lot, if not all of those pieces, just that growth and all of those experiences that were going to come with maturity. Even kind of looking at some of the games that happened this past weekend as far as, in our women's conference tournament, just seeing that, how fine the margins are and with the teams that were in there, how we played those teams that were not far, I like to think, and that a lot of that growth that you'd like to think in, where those games got away from us in some of those 4 or 5 minute spans, you're not going to know those experiences without the maturity and growth that our team went through. So that's what's most encouraging looking forward, as much as it was frustrating at times during the course of the season.
Last year at this time, you pretty much knew there was going to be a certain amount of turnover, and that even to the point of almost starting over with this season that just played out. This year, as you alluded to already, the pieces are back. So next year can start sooner than it did for this season. When does next year start?
We already kind of met as a group and have already been in the process of doing a good amount of those exit meetings, I like to say, of just kind of end of year of like, this is where we saw you during the year, this is the things you need to improve upon. So like you mentioned, it's something where you don't want to say it already started, but we want the group to take some time off individually and collectively, because when you finish the course of a long season, even though we didn't make the postseason with the extension of the extra couple weeks you have to practice, the season pretty much feels like it starts right when the school year starts. So the group really needs that mental, emotional, physical break. But a lot of them, being how young that they are, already want to get back to it. But it's something that they just need to understand. It's truly is a marathon of the course of a season. So just excited, like you said, to not have to essentially start over again, but have a group that's knows exactly where they stood and that the strides that they need to make are well within reach.
With this being such a young team this year, what does that do for your strategy for recruiting? How does that adjust, or do you still go forward and try and get the biggest, best class that you can get for next year as well?
You always want to be very selective. I think that was something we learned this year. And even with the past couple of years, like you mentioned, with the turnover that we had seen, was, it's always a quality over quantity thing, where even though you don't want to be at 10 or 11 like we've been at times over the last 3 years, you want to bring in this right 3, 4, 5 people that really fit and mesh well with your group. Like you said, with the amount of returners we bring in, you don't just want to throw stuff against the wall and see, let's see which one of these 4 out of 7 stick. It's like, no, you want to be very selective, character-wise as well as, talent, passion, work ethic, all of those pieces, because everyone we want to bring in, we want to believe can contribute right away, whether that's scout team in practice, coming in and vying for a starting spot, or just someone that's a key contributor in a, 6-man role. So it's something where we just want to be very selective, but, it's something where you want to get to the place where regardless of how many people you lose, you're looking to be consistent and reliable every year.
And I know you can't name names, but do you feel good about where you're at with who might be coming in?
I think it's something where it's a weird part of the year. Like a couple ones we've known and people have been committed since the fall, but now you're in the kind of the second wave of things through the course of the year, where with state happening this week and a lot of high schoolers finishing their career, they'll be looking kind of to next year, and that's where we're hoping to really get some exciting news in the next couple weeks.